Well, it's 8 o'clock, everybody. Let's get started. I am Ray Davis of the Affirmation Spot, and I am absolutely thrilled to be doing my first live session on Stay Home and Come With Me. I'm really excited about this network. I think it has amazing potential for people who want to see the world from their homes and also for people looking to develop themselves. Tonight I'm going to talk about affirmations. It's something that's really near and dear to my heart. And I hope that you will find it interesting. I don't know where you are on the path of knowing about affirmations. If it's something that you truly know a lot about, you may find this a lot of review tonight, but hopefully you'll find the activities useful. Or it may be something you've never really heard about, and this will be starting from scratch for you tonight. Either way, I'm glad to have you. I would love to have you tell me where you're from in the chat. And at any time, if there's anything you would like to get input on, get feedback on, just let me know. Please put that in the chat, and I will try to watch that as we're going. This is kind of a first for me. I've done lots of videos where I've recorded myself for YouTube. I've done lots of interviews on radio stations and online, but I've never done a live session like this. So I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone a little bit tonight, and I hope you will stay at home, come with me, step outside your comfort zone, and let's talk about our mind, something that's really, really important to the success and the achievements that we have in our lives. And this show is called Excursions in the Mind. We're going to use this show to delve into various aspects of our thinking, of the mind, of the world, how we see it, how we perceive it, and how we can harness the energy, the strength, and the power within us to deliver a better life and a better world for ourselves. So let's get started. Let me just share the screen here. Awesome. So I want to start with this. One of my favorite things to do is to write motivational quotes. And this is one I wrote a long time ago, and I use it all the time myself. I tweet it a lot. It's that you are a 1 in a trillion miracle. I really believe that. If you think about how unbelievable it is that any of us are here, what the odds were against any of us being here, we really are all 1 in a trillion miracles. And that goes for you, it goes for me, it goes for everybody that we encounter all day long. And I think it really changes your perspective on the world when you can remember that. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes people don't feel like much of a 1 in a trillion miracle when they're giving you a hard time. But we truly are all that. So I wanted to start there tonight. Let's get started talking about affirmations. So this is episode 1. We'll be doing a lot of different shows on this every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Central, 6 Pacific. And this show is titled Affirmations Feeding the Mind. Affirmations, as I said, are something near and dear to my heart, and it's something that I'm thrilled to share with you tonight. So let's get started. So what's our agenda for this evening? First of all, you're probably wondering, who the heck am I and why should you listen to me? And it's a fair question. When you tune into something like this, you're probably wondering, well, what's this person's expertise? What's their background? Why should I listen to them? And you should always ask that question, because there's a lot of people out there talking about things that they don't really know much about. I've been using affirmations for 30 years, writing them, recording them, writing about them, and other motivational topics. And so I'll share with you tonight kind of what my background is and how I arrived here. We're going to talk about the power of the mind. The mind, the human mind, is a powerful thing. And I'm not just talking about the brain. I believe our mind is much more than just our brain. And I think a lot of the things we're going to talk about this evening really feed into that idea. It's more than just the material brain. That is part of it. But we have a mind, we have a consciousness. And I happen to believe that consciousness drives matter and not the other way around. And I think if you understand that principle, affirmations and really programming your mind the way you want to program it really becomes a powerful tool. We're going to talk about the affirmations. What are some of the mechanics of writing affirmations? Why do they work? How do they work? All those sorts of things. I'm going to cover all of that tonight. Then we're going to do an activity where you're going to write some affirmations. And I want you to be thinking about this even as we're going through this now. Think of about 3 things in your life that you really want to improve, goals that you're trying to achieve, things that you're wanting to get better at. And we're going to write some affirmations this evening. And finally, we're going to close with an affirmation meditation. And I'll share more about this later on, but affirmations and meditation are they're just a great match. It's like chocolate and peanut butter, right? Some of you might remember the old Reese's peanut butter commercial, right? Where the person with the chocolate bar and the person with the peanut butter came around the corner and they meshed. That's affirmations and meditation. So we're going to get into that tonight. We're going to have you use your affirmations in the meditation. So who am I? Why should you listen to me? We'll start there. My name is Ray Davis. I founded the Affirmation Spot back in 2007. I have written probably at this point several thousand articles on personal development. I don't have a psychology degree. I'm not a guru. I'm just a fellow journeyer like you who has spent 30 years trying to build a better life for myself. And I didn't start from a pinnacle of success. I came from a very ordinary background, very middle-class background, lower middle class even, certainly where I was. And beginning in my teen years, I began to have a number of struggles. I would say mind struggles. I would say physical struggles. I was really shy, that kind of thing. I would never have ever in a million years imagined that I would do something like this. And, basically by the time I got into my 20s, this evolved into some real health issues, not only from a mental standpoint, but also from a physical standpoint. I spent 2 stints, about 4 months total in the hospital back in 1990. I was 25. I got to the point where I couldn't drink, I couldn't eat. I wanted to die. I was in so much pain. I just wanted out. And I shrunk away to 97 pounds and I'm 5'9". So you can imagine that was pretty skinny. I'm lucky to be alive. I shouldn't be alive. My doctor told me back at the time I shouldn't be alive. He'd never seen anyone with electrolytes that low that was alive. Eventually they found out that I had Addison's disease. So I know a lot of the people who may be enjoying the Stay at Home and Come With Me network may have some sort of a chronic condition that they're fighting. And I want you to know I'm one of you. I've been dealing with Addison's disease since 1990, since I was diagnosed. And, it's a challenge. A lot of days I have to fight the fatigue. I have to overcome the fatigue. And it's hard because people who don't have that kind of a condition don't understand. So I do understand that kind of thing. That's kind of where I came from. When I got out of that hospital situation after 4 months in the hospital, and having almost died at 25, that's not really in the plan, right, in the script. I wanted to know what people around the world thought about why we're here. I wanted to know what they thought death was, what they thought our existence was all about. So I went on a journey that I would say lasted about 7 years. I studied all the major spiritual traditions, many of the philosophies around the world. I studied personal development. And this is how I really got into these sorts of things. And first, I was just really a vacuum, just absorbing, kind of a sponge, absorbing all of this information. And eventually got to the point where it was helping me enough that I wanted to turn around and teach it to others and help them as well. So that's kind of the reason I started the Affirmation Spot. That's why I'm here tonight. And, affirmations have made a huge difference for me. When I started using affirmations, my life was at rock bottom. I mean, my finances were a mess. I was unemployed. I didn't believe in myself. I had all kinds of struggles that I was going through. And affirmations were a key part of my process of pulling myself up and moving myself forward and having the life that I'm proud and happy and glad that I have today, which includes a family, stepkids, grandkids. April and I, my wife, have, both have good corporate jobs. We both have a lot of good things happening in our life. We like to travel and do a lot of different things. And I'm really lucky to have that life considering where I was, 30 years ago. But tonight's not about me. I wanted to just share with you what my background is and why I have expertise in this. I've been doing this for 30 years, starting on myself and then spreading out and sharing this with other people. Tonight's about your goals and dreams. Affirmations are a great tool to rewrite your programming and help you achieve the goals and dreams that you want to achieve in life. And so we're going to dig right into this. So stay with me. I hope you're able to hear me and everything. Let me know in the chat if there's any problems with that. So first of all, we are thinking machines. We as human beings think all day long. You've probably had the experience of your thoughts racing, right? You have one thought after another, you can't control it. And you're going from one thing to another, like what they call a chicken with its head cut off, right? I mean, you just can't control it. Other times it's a little slower, but there's never a stop to our thoughts. The thoughts are always going all day long. Now, for many years, no one really knew how many thoughts the average human being thinks in an average day. There were estimates out there that have been out on the internet for a long time now, anywhere from 12 to 80,000 thoughts a day. If you do the math on that, that's a lot of thoughts. And I always thought that was probably a little high, even for a mind that races and never stops. But this summer, in fact, back in July, there was a study released by Queen's College in Canada. And they found that the average human being thinks about 6,200 thoughts a day. So the way they did this is they did brain scans, right? Did brain patterns, and they figured out what were the signs that a thought was beginning, what were the signs that a thought was stopping, and they used that to determine how many thoughts a human being has in a day. So if you do the math on that, you find that's about 387 thoughts an hour. It's about 6.45 thoughts a minute. It's about one thought every 9 seconds, pardon me. And so that's a lot of thoughts. We're constantly thinking. And sometimes our thoughts are disjointed. A lot of times they don't serve us. And this is going on all day in our lives. Now, there is good research to say that about 80% of thoughts that we think on an average day are more negative than positive. And what do I mean by negative? I don't mean necessarily that they're, beating yourself up or that kind of thing. It could just be thoughts that are based in fear or worry or stress. Kind of the human default is to think negatively. That is something that probably served us back as we were, evolving on this planet. It was more important to see the snake in the grass than think about the cloud in the sky, right? So it makes a lot of sense that we had kind of this negative default. There are those few lucky people that bounce out of bed every morning and they're all excited about life and nothing ever bothers them, and God bless them. But I'm not one of them. I have to work at this, and I assume that most of you do as well. For most of us, about 80% of our thoughts in the course of a day are negative. And as we're going to get into here in a little while, that really is important in setting the groundwork for the paradigms that we have about the world. I want to call out one thing here, talking about positive versus what I would call realistic thoughts, or what people talk about as realistic thoughts. Realistic thoughts are something that people use a lot of times. No one wants to think that they think negatively, right? Saying that you're having negative thoughts is kind of negative. So people will say, well, I'm just realistic. I am just realistic about the fact that I'm never going to be a great piano player, or this is just the way the world is. You hear the people say this all the time. This is just the way the world is. It will never change. Human beings can never change. I'm just being realistic. And I guess what I would say to that is I feel like it's kind of closet negativism. And we want to focus tonight on how you can build more positive thought framework and increase your positive thoughts. So where do our thoughts come from? And I think if you just put a little bit of thought into this, you'll understand that our thoughts come from past generations. There are things that are passed down from generation to generation that are never really reconsidered, that people just take for granted and say, well, that's just the way it is. That's how I always heard it was. That's what we've always thought. People get it from their family, from their parents, from their siblings. We get it from friends. We get it from the media. Pardon me, a little froggy tonight. We get it from belief systems, right? Religious belief systems. We get it from political ideologies, and we get it from our own experiences. Now, the research on this shows us that only about 10% of the things that we hold to be true, the beliefs that we have about the world and about ourselves, are based on our own experience. Now, that might seem kind of low, but if you think about it, there's a lot of conditioning going on all the time. Your parents were feeding you with stuff as you were a child. Your friends started feeding you stuff, and our brains, our subconscious, just records everything. So we've got all this stuff back in our brain. If you turn on the media at night, you can see all the negative things that are going on in the world for 29 and a half minutes, and then they end with a happy story about a puppy, right, for 30 seconds. But that's kind of the way the world is. They feed us all this negative stuff. That's kind of where we come from, where we get our thoughts, and our beliefs are formed out of that. Now, I have kind of a funny story to tell you about this idea of getting information from past generations. There was a woman who was cooking a ham, and she cut an inch off the end of it, And her daughter saw her doing this. And her daughter asked her, why do you cut an inch off the end of the ham? And the woman said, I don't know. My mother always did that. So they get the grandmother on the phone, and the mother says, Mom, why did you cut an inch off the end of the ham when you cooked a ham? Your granddaughter wants to know. And she's like, I don't know. My mother always did that. So they get the great grandmother on the phone, and the great grandmother says, oh, back when your great grandfather and I were first married, our oven was really small, and I had to cut an inch off the ham to get it to fit in the oven. Now here we have a situation where we had 3 generations doing something, and 2 of those generations didn't even know why. And this goes on all the time in our world. There's kind of an inertia, a gravity to the way we think in families and groups, as we see in society, among nations. There's a gravity to all this past thinking. And if it's not questioned and challenged, we just go along with it. I mentioned I love to do quotes. And so here's one of my quotes you can see under the picture here. You unconsciously become the past until you consciously choose a new future. This is about ending this conditioning, not just accepting it. And I'm not saying that it's possible to eliminate all of this, right? We're exposed to this stuff all the time, but it's getting more conscious about the thoughts you choose, the way you choose to see the world, the way you choose to see yourself, the way you choose to see other people. And all of this is something that affirmations can help with. So the power of our thoughts is something that human beings have known about forever. You can see from the quotes on this screen that some of the greatest thinkers and philosophers and writers in history have all understood that the power of our thoughts make our world. And that's quite literal, honestly. You hear about people talking about you are what you eat. Probably even more true is we are what we think, and our world is what we collectively think. So if you look around and see the headlines in the world today, you have to understand that that's partly a measure of our collective thinking and about how we view the world and the world that we're creating with our thoughts. So I'm just going to read a couple of these. I know you can read the screen as well as I can, but I love the first quote. It's by Buddha from the Dhammapada. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. Jesus in Mark said, if you believe, all things are possible to him who believes. And probably my favorite one is a gentleman named Mike Dooley. You might know him. You might subscribe to him. He's had a massive email list called Tut the Universe for about 20 years. And he puts out a positive thought that's directed at you based on kind of what you're trying to achieve in your life right now. He says simply, thoughts become things. And if you take nothing else away from this session tonight, I want you to remember that. Thoughts become things. And I want you to think about this and make it even more personal. Your thoughts become things. Everything we're thinking, consciously or unconsciously, is going to become a thing. If you look around you right now in the room that you're in and just see all the things around you, every one of those things started with a thought that someone acted upon. Nothing just emerged here out of nothing. Thoughts created all of it. It creates the good in our world, the bad in our world, the indifferent in our world. Everything is the creation of thought. Even if you go into some of these spiritual traditions and you find how was the world created, it was created by the deity in whatever religion is you're talking about, articulating, enunciating a thought, let there be light, those sorts of things. You go in every one of these spiritual traditions and you see that that's how it all came to be. It was spoken into reality as a thought, as an affirmation. So let's talk about negative thinking versus negative thoughts. Now, there are some people who are in this field of personal development who will tell you to run fast away from any negative thought that you have. Don't touch a negative thought. It's toxic, it's kryptonite. And I think what they failed to kind of do is they failed to kind of differentiate between negative thinking and negative thought. Every human being has a negative thought. You're not a bad person because you have a negative thought. It's not something that you should, let yourself ruin your day over. You might have several negative thoughts. Sometimes you might get up and you might have a whole string of negative thoughts before you kind of get yourself righted in a day. That's okay. What you don't want to do is you don't want to buy a house and move into the negative thinking neighborhood. A negative thought is an event. It just happens. Negative thinking is a pattern. It's a habit. It's a way of looking at the world. It's, oh my gosh, this always happens to me. Why does this always happen to me? That's negative thinking. And we see it throughout the world. People, they have this this mindset that the world is this very negative place, and that something bad is always about to happen, and you just don't want to live there. That's very toxic. It's very destructive to our dreams. If you do think a negative thought, just think a better thought. That changes it immediately. That changes the energy right away. And we're going to talk about how with affirmations we can make sure that we're thinking more of those positive thoughts instead of the negative thoughts. And here's another one of my quotes. It's true that positive thinking doesn't work 100% of the time, but negative thinking does. Think about that for a minute. I get people all the time that will say, positive thinking, I've tried that, doesn't work, doesn't work all the time, or doesn't work well enough for me. I would challenge people to think about whether or not they have really made it a practice, or they just kind of tried it once. But I guarantee you, we've all had this experience. You don't need me to tell you this. You've had days like this, you've had weeks like this, maybe some of you have had years like this in your life. The negative thinking becomes a spiral, and you just go down, 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 down a drain. I've been there. I hit rock bottom. I know what that's all about. And I guarantee you, negative thinking works. So it kind of makes you think about, what kind of thoughts do you want to think? A positive thought that may or may not get you where you want to go, or a negative thought that's guaranteed to take you down. So what is an affirmation? So there are a lot of definitions of what an affirmation is. What I would like to say, kind of my definition is, it's a statement of commitment, determination, and belief. I am a great piano player. I am a great basketball player. It's a statement, I am going to climb the mountain, right? It's a statement of commitment to climb the mountain. It's a statement of determination to climb the mountain. It's a statement of belief that I can climb the mountain. And those are the elements. They're kind of feelings and thoughts that kind of go into an affirmation that make it something powerful for you as you say it, or listen to it, or read it. I also like to say they're vitamins for the mind, right? We all take vitamins, or many of us do, to help meet our nutritional needs that our diet may not meet, and we take vitamins to kind of augment that. Affirmations are that for the mind. So again, and we're going to get into this, I keep saying this, but I promise we're going to get into this in a minute. Our minds, our subconscious minds, are filled with all these negative thoughts, all this conditioning that we've had throughout our life. And affirmations are like vitamins that we take to try to steel our minds against that negativity, and actually heal our minds and give our minds a positive place to start. They also are thought replacement. And we'll talk about shortly about first and second person and third person affirmations. Thought replacement is like that time you were on the playground in second grade and the kid said, "You're ugly." And man, that hit you in the face. And that went right to your brain, and it stuck in your brain. And for years, you had to deal with this feeling that you were ugly. Or maybe your mother said, "You'll never amount to anything." These thoughts are stuck in our brain. And one of the things that affirmations can do with enough repetition is nudge those old thoughts out and replace them with better thoughts about ourselves. I also like to say they're a personal ad campaign. Now, companies around the world, at the last estimate, I think 2018 was the last number I have, spent $750 billion advertising to you and me. Why? Because when you go to buy something, they want their product, their store, their company to be top of mind for you. And if you think about it, you're absorbing this stuff all the time. If I say to you, "What's in your wallet?" I bet you pretty much and very quickly would say, "Oh, that's Capital One." And that's why they repeat this stuff over and over again. You think about like Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola has probably been the best known brand in the world since probably at least World War II. There's probably 5 people somewhere on the planet that don't know what a Coca-Cola is. Why do they keep advertising? Because they know that people forget, that they slide back into other habits, and that if Coca-Cola is not top of their mind, they're probably going to go buy a Pepsi or a water or something else, right? And so they advertise and advertise and advertise. Affirmations, instead of someone else selling you things all the time, it's you selling you on you. It's you selling you on a better future for yourself. It's you selling yourself on you can do it. And that's what an affirmation is. So it's a personal ad campaign for you. If everybody else is doing it to you, why shouldn't you do it for yourself? So why do affirmations work? Our minds are information vacuums. I've alluded to this a couple of times. So someone is going to fill our minds subconsciously, consciously, whatever. It's going on all day long. It might as well be us. Why do we want to walk around with everyone else's thoughts in our head? Affirmations are a chance for you to put the thoughts that you want in your head instead of the thoughts everybody else wants in your head. And remember, again, I've alluded to this a couple times, our beliefs are formed by the information that we consume. So if we sit and watch the cable news all day long, we're probably thinking the world's about to end. If we consume, negativity around us at work or at home, we're probably convinced that that's just the way the world is. And it doesn't have to be, but it will be if we're kind of unconsciously taking this all in, if our little vacuum, our little sponge is just taking all this information in and we're not doing anything to mitigate it. So affirmations are a way to consciously change your thoughts and paradigms. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to have you write some affirmations, and we're going to hopefully get you on the road to doing that. How do affirmations work? So I say that there are twin engines of affirmations, repetition and belief. So belief is really important. An affirmation should be emotional. It should really get you right there. It should inspire you. So words are capable of doing that, but you really have to craft an affirmation that does that in order for you to achieve that. It's also important that you believe what you're affirming. And we'll talk in a moment here about the importance of that and how we do that. The other part of this is repetition. And this is for the unconscious mind or the subconscious mind. Unconscious, I don't like the term unconscious, the subconscious mind. So as you start listening to affirmations or reading affirmations or saying affirmations, your conscious mind's going to say, I got this already. Just like they got the fact that, Capital One is what's in your wallet. I understand that. Why does Capital One keep running the commercial? Because they're trying to get to your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is where a lot of these patterns come from, unconsciously in a way, subconsciously, into your conscious mind. And it's kind of like if you went to the desert, right, and you found a really dried out plant and you put just a little bit of water on it, it probably wouldn't do any good. Doing an affirmation once or twice, even though your conscious mind's like, I heard it already, I got it. Your unconscious mind needs to be doused. You need to get the hose out and you need to douse that plant with water. That's what the unconscious or the subconscious mind, needs. It needs that repetition. You need to rain your affirmations on the subconscious mind until it is reprogrammed and reconditioned. So the two goals really of affirmations are to seed the conscious mind, right? We want to have these thoughts front of mind, these positive thoughts that we're doing in our affirmations, but we also want to recondition the subconscious mind. We want to rain down a different paradigm on it because it's been absorbing this negativity from the time we were, knee-high to a June bug, as some people say. And we really need to change the pattern. And that's what affirmations are going to help us do. So who can use affirmations? Well, anybody. So there's no one that's too young. In fact, I think it's awesome when kids get involved with affirmations. There are a couple of people that I follow online that are teachers that do affirmations in their classrooms. I think that's absolutely awesome. Why not put the mind on the side of your children as they're growing up? Why let them absorb all this negativity with nothing to counter it? Affirmations are a fantastic way for kids to get their mind on their side early in life. And guarantee you, man, I wish I would have had that. Guarantee you that's going to pay dividends down the line. No one's too young. No one's too old. There's never a time where you say, oh, there's nothing left for me. There's always something new we can be accomplishing. There's always something we want to achieve. There's always something we want to be better at. And an affirmation can help you with anything. It can help you from big dreams to very mundane things. So it can really work for anybody. No one is too far down on their luck. Believe me, I was rock bottom at 25. I was lucky I had a family that was able to help a little bit, but I did not have anything together at that point in my life. I was down on my luck. I was rock bottom. And affirmations are a way to pull yourself up a step at a time Believe it by changing that thought process, by changing those thought patterns, by watering that subconscious mind with something more positive. You can step by step come out of that. And no one is too successful. No one is so far up the mountain that there's not something else they're trying to achieve, something that still stretches them and challenges them. And an affirmation can help even those people get better at what they do. So there's no one that's off the table when it comes to affirmations. Everyone can use them. So how do we write an affirmation? Pardon me. Well, affirmations should always be written in the present tense. So they always should be written like I am. You should always assume that you already are what you're saying. You should never use words like will or, someday or things like that. This is about affirming to your mind and yourself, your being right now, that I am this. I am a great basketball player. I am a great writer. I am a capable manager. All of these things are things that you're wanting, even if you're aspiring to these things, they are things that you should say in the present tense as if they're already true. Now, some people might say you're deluding yourself. I would say it's deluding yourself to believe that you're not good at these things already, to have those limited thoughts and things like that. It's really, really important that you believe that you are this already. As you start feeding your subconscious mind with that, you'll start embodying that. Use words that are powerful for you. So not the same words are going to work for everybody. Not the same format is going to work for everybody. As I will show you in a moment, there's lots of different ways to write affirmations. Write words that are powerful for you, that help you visualize the thing you're trying to achieve, that inspire you, that make you feel good, that drive you forward. That's what an affirmation should inspire. And believe me, the right words are capable of doing that. First, second, and third person affirmations. This is something, honestly, I've never come across anyone else who really talks about this very much. Most people talk about writing affirmations in the first person. I am, I choose, I refuse, whatever the affirmation is. I believe that second person affirmations are very important. I talked about thought replacement a little while ago. Most of the thoughts that are fed into your subconscious from when you were 8 years old were given to you in the second person. You will never do this. You'll never be any good at that. And I believe that based on 30 years of experience, that the way to move that thought out, to nudge that thought out, is to replace it with a like thought. You're ugly. You're beautiful. You need to hear it from the outside. It's like validation, subconsciously and psychologically. And second person affirmations are really good at doing that. First person affirmations are wonderful because they're what I call own it affirmations, right? I own this. I am. And those are very powerful. But the second person affirmations, especially if you're listening to them, doesn't work so well in the mirror. It's kind of hard to say, hey, you are awesome in the mirror. That feels a little uncomfortable. But you can certainly record them and listen to those and have those thoughts replace those old negative conditionings. Third person affirmations are with your name, right? Your name, as someone once said, is the sweetest sound in the English language, right? We're taught immediately when we hear our name, even when we think we hear our name, to perk up and listen and look around. And that tendency can be used in affirmation. So if I say, John, you are an awesome football player, or Sally, you are an awesome singer. That helps, again, to infuse this. This is the first person is to own. The second person is to thought replace. The third person is to basically state directly to you with your name in a way that's going to get your attention, the affirmation. Then we have what I would call incremental and aspirational affirmations. So aspirational affirmations are kind of the over the horizon one, right? It's the big dream. It's the I'm a best-selling author. It's the I'm an NBA player. For an 8-year-old, that second one might be something that people would say, well, you're deluding. You're telling the kid to delude himself. I would say no. It's okay to mix those in with the incremental affirmations and have those big dreams. Some of your affirmations should be stretching you and pushing you to those big dreams. If you want to get there, start feeding that subconscious mind now. That's the way to do it. That's how the plant's going to grow back there. That's how the tree is going to become strong and you're going to get to those places. Now, it's not a guarantee. There's no guarantee that because you say these affirmations, you're ever going to be a best-selling author or you're ever going to be an NBA player. It's not an ATM machine that you stick the words in and out comes this. But I guarantee you, with your mind on your side, you're going to find that you have a much better shot than if your mind is working against you. Nothing wrong with that at all. Incremental affirmations, those are kind of more normal affirmations. Those are things that you're trying to achieve right now, things that you don't have a problem believing you can do or believing that you could get to. I am a good manager. I am a good manager becoming a great manager. There are a lot of ways to phrase that, but there are things that you can believe right now, affirmations that are very practical in your life right now that can move you forward. They're not the, big dream type of affirmation. So I recommend using a mix of both. Have the big dream the big dream. It's okay. And also have the incremental ones, the ones that are kind of more the step-by-step affirmations to get you there. So here are some examples of affirmations. Sorry that the type is a little bit small on this slide. I wanted to give a bunch of different examples. So you can see there are a lot of different ways to write affirmations. I am an amazing parent, pretty straightforward. My life is what I make of it, and I choose to make it a loving place to be. That's a format that I've used for many years. I love it. It feels very powerful to me. If it feels good to you, you can use it. If not, you can tweak it and do something else with it. I also like things that help me visualize. I am the engine of my dreams. My dreams never give up on me, and I never give up on my dreams. To me, again, very powerful, maybe not to you. Use the words that are powerful to you. I mentioned before, you can see down at the bottom here, I am a great photographer. You're a great photographer. John is a great photographer. That's that first person, second person, third person I was talking about. Of course, you can't talk about affirmations and not talk about the law of attraction. The law of attraction is about this idea that a similar vibration in the world attracts like, right? That's what the law of attraction is. As you use affirmations, as you build your mindset, as you think more positively, you're going to see that you do attract these things that way. It's just weird. I can't even tell you all the weird stories I've had in my life, including my wife. I used affirmations at one time. It actually wasn't about her, but I was using an affirmation that was just, I'm going to marry April someday. It was a different April than my wife. I think we'll all agree April's not a very common name, but eventually I didn't marry the April I was focused on in that affirmation, but I did marry an April. I don't know. It could be a coincidence, but it was pretty fascinating. My wife and I used to go sit by a lake in the town that we lived in and say, boy, it'd be so cool to have one of these houses here by the lake. We were living in a little tiny place at that time. And within about 7 or 8 years, we were there. Now, there was a lot of hard work and activity and action in that as well, but we were setting the mindset that we could possibly do that someday. And it was kind of weird when we got into one of those houses that eventually we were like, wow, we made it. And I could just share all night situations like that of things that were planned in your mind, things that you said that then became a reality. And so this is something that really does work. It's not foo-foo, it's not, woo-woo. It is really, really, really something that is a practical tool that you can use in your life. So you can see there's a bunch of different ways you can do it here. So we're going to stop here. I'm going to stop talking because I've been going for quite a while here. We're going to do an activity. I want you to write some affirmations. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. I'm going to turn on some music light in the background so that you can work. I want you to pick 3 goals or areas of focus in your life right now. I want you to write draft affirmation for each one. I want you to write them in words that feel powerful to you. And again, these can be tweaked. You may not get it perfect the first time. Try it, see how it works, and then tweak it some more. You can do an incremental affirmation. You can do incremental affirmations, aspirational affirmations, whichever works for you right now. And you can put your affirmation in the chat if you want to. If you'd like some feedback, I'd be happy to help you tweak it a little bit if you need to. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do that. We're going to use these affirmations in our final activity of the night. So let me give you about 5 minutes. I want you to work on your affirmations. If you need help, ping me in the chat, and I will be back in about 5 minutes. Alexa, play Fight Song.
Here's Fight Song by Rachel Platten on Amazon Music.
Alexa play Chances.
Here's Chances by 5 Foot Fighting on Amazon Music.
Chances are when said and done, who'll be the lucky ones? Make it all the way. Know yourself could be your answer. Nothing lasts forever. No matter how it feels today. Chances are.
Got another minute, guys.
Just a realistic man. I battlefield with shells and sand.
Alexa, pause. All right, guys, let's come back together. So I hope that went okay for you. I didn't see any notes in the chat, so I'm assuming you did okay with your affirmations. So now we're going to go on to a meditation. And I mentioned at the beginning that meditation and affirmations are just made for each other. There are many different types of meditation that you can do, and here on the Stay Home and Come With Me network, you'll find other people who teach meditation, and I strongly encourage you to attend their sessions. Meditations can be something used to observe. There are types of meditation, like for instance, called Vipassana. Vipassana is a type of insight meditation, and so people basically sit and observe their thoughts, and they don't judge, they don't evaluate, they just kind of let the flow go by. There are other types of meditation where you're actually trying to empty your mind of thoughts. There are also meditations where you're trying to visualize, and this is something where affirmations become very powerful. Again, we go back thousands of years with the idea of a mantra. People understood that saying a word over and over and over again kind of infused your consciousness with it. And you're going to be able to do that with your affirmations here in this meditation. So, you know, they're very complementary practices. Meditation calms your mind, makes you more receptive to the affirmations. So let's move on to the meditation. I'm going to guide you into a relaxed state. So we'll do that here in just a second. I'd like you to choose one or more of your affirmations. And if you can remember all three of them, great. If you remember two, or you just want to use one in the meditation, that's fine, whatever works for you. But what I want you to do is when we get into a relaxed state, I want you to start saying the affirmation to yourself over and over and over again. You can say it out loud if you want to. You can say it to yourself, whatever works for you. But I just want you to and just infuse your mind with that over and over and over again. I want you to visualize you embodying the affirmation. So whatever the affirmation is, I am a world-class author. I want you to embody that affirmation. I want you to visualize yourself. What would it feel like to be that person as you're saying the affirmation? So we're going to visualize that as we're saying the affirmation. And then after a few minutes, I will guide you back out of the meditation. Okay, any questions? Okay, let's get started. So everybody sit back, find a comfortable position. You can sit in a classic meditation posture if you'd like to. You can lay down, sit down, lay back, whatever works for you. I just want you to be relaxed. Close your eyes. And I want you to take a deep breath in, hold it for 3 seconds, and then release. Take another deep breath, hold it for 3 seconds again, and release. Now I want you to keep breathing, and I'm going to count backwards from 10 to 0. And as with each number, you're going to get more and more and more relaxed. 10, 9, 8. You're feeling so relaxed now. 7, 6, 5. All the worries and stresses of the day are melting away. You're focused on this meditation. 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You're now so relaxed. You're breathing in and breathing out comfortably. Now I want you, as I said before, either out loud or to yourself, to start saying your affirmation to yourself over and over and over. And I'm going to let this go for about 5 minutes tonight. So keep breathing and saying your affirmation to yourself. Remember to see yourself visualizing the affirmation becoming a reality. Now I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes here and let you do that. And then I'll come back and guide you back out. Feel the affirmation infusing your consciousness. See yourself embodying and achieving your affirmation. You're doing great. This affirmation is becoming a reality for you. You're going to embody this affirmation each and every day. And soon, you'll achieve your goal. Say the affirmation over and over and over. Let it rain heavily on your subconscious. Believe it. Okay, now I'm going to start bringing you out of the meditation. I'm going to count again from 0 to 10. This time, with each number, you'll become a little more awake. 0, 1, 2, 3. You're feeling the life returning to your body. 4, 5, 6. You're feeling the blood flowing again to all your extremities. You're feeling very awake. 7, 8, 9, 10. Open your eyes. Come back to waking consciousness. Awesome job, guys. You did it. And you see what I mean about affirmations and meditation working together. It's fantastic. It's a great tool. So I'd love to hear what your experience was in the chat. If you feel like sharing, or if you'd like to share live, raise your hand and I'd be happy to let you speak. Or reach out to me, because I'd love to hear how this went for you, or if there's any way I can help you. I'm here to help however I can. So let's briefly talk about next steps, and then we're going to be done. Keep on practicing with your affirmations. If you find those affirmations starting to work, write some other ones, add some more to your routine. It's kind of a never-ending process. There's always things that we can be using affirmations to improve upon. You can do it with or without meditation. The meditation is a suggestion. If that works for you, fantastic. I think it's a great tool. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Just do them however you want to do them. Record yourself, say them to yourself, do the old mirror time, whatever works for you. Feel free to contact me if you need assistance. You can find me on Twitter at Affirmation Spot, Facebook, facebook.com/Affirmation Spot. I'm always happy to help. I have created over the last, 10 years, a ton of content that you can find on affirmationspot.net, and you can see that at the bottom. I have a YouTube channel, so I have a lot of content out there already that you can definitely make use of. Just look for the Affirmation Spot and you'll find me. Next week, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk about Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey, and that is definitely an excursion in the mind. Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey is not something that Joseph Campbell made up himself. It was something he recognized in all the mythologies of the world and brought to our attention here in the 20th century. And many authors, many movie makers have used it to build a fantastic story. And really, we are all on a hero's journey. So it's really going to be, I hope, a good session. I told you where you can find me already. I just want to end with this affirmation, another example of how an affirmation, if it's powerful, doesn't have to fit the pattern that you constantly see. And I base this one on one of my favorite motivational quotes by Sir Edmund Hillary. It is not the mountain I conquer, but myself. Today, I am reaching for the top of the mountain, and my day is in the sun is here. Your day in the sun is here. If you've been going through challenging times, you can make a change right now. If you're already at a high level, you can go to the next level. Your day in the sun is here. I'm Ray Davis with the Affirmation Spot for Stay at Home and Come With Me. Thank you for staying at home and coming with me this evening, and I will see you again soon.